Hello, everyone. This is Will,
And this is Alex.
and welcome back to another episode of They Mostly Come Out at Night.
Mostly.
Well, so what'd you think of tonight's movie?
Oh, God.
Yeah,
This is a special one. I'll put it that way.
Special isn't a strong enough word. That's not the word I would use.
What word would you use? Shit?
Fucking horrendous.
That's 2 words. You fucked up.
I'd have to use
You
more.
fucked up.
I know, I'd have to use more. Well,
Matter of fact, I would say you fucked up, but not quite as much as this movie fucked up. Yeah,
I just don't even know, man.
I know.
Alright, so we watched Zaat.
Mm-hmm.
1971 film
This is one of the few that we've watched that I've heard of beforehand.
by master filmmaker Don Barton.
Yes, he made such riveting films as Zaat and
Oh wait,
Zaat.
yeah, that's all
Yeah,
he made.
oh.
He only made one movie, and there's a reason why.
Well, it's because like you sometimes you just make such a brilliant piece of art that you can never top it again. So why?
It's his magnum opus.
Yeah. So
you
why
know,
try again?
It's like the pinnacle of filmmaking. So
Mhm.
like he was like, you know what? I've let this out into the world. I don't need to make another film. This is my masterpiece. This is my Mona Lisa to the film industry. Okay.
This is Florida's big contribution to film history.
You go to Florida and they're all about the Zaat.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's true.
Forget
That's why
about
Florida's so fucked up.
Yeah.
Because everyone just watches this thing on repeat, apparently.
Oh man, Floridians don't deserve this though. This is
We got a
this
couple
is
more Florida
horrible.
movies, so
I know they might be better than this.
I hope so.
God, I hope so too. So Zaat, Z-A-A-T.
Yeah.
I still don't know what that means.
It means nothing.
They tried to explain it in the film, but they never showed what it actually stands for.
Nothing.
Is it the fish he was talking about at the beginning?
It's him.
Yeah, but his name isn't Zaat.
What is his name?
It's like
That's his old name.
Leopold.
Dr. Leopold.
Dr.
Who's apparently
Leopold.
a Nazi.
Yeah, he's supposed to be a Nazi, even though it never explains
No,
that.
Zaat is the creature. It's him, Will. Leopold's the old name. Get with it. Jesus.
Alright, so starts out with a bunch of stock footage of a fish in the ocean.
Stock footage.
There's a
Yeah.
good lord, there's
How
a
much
lot of
original-
stock footage.
If you cut out the stock footage, there's maybe an hour of actual
Probably
original footage.
Probably more like 45 minutes, because there's a lot of stock footage.
Yeah, like
This
the first
is like an hour and 39-minute movie, and it's like half of it is stock footage.
the first 20 minutes is all stock footage, like almost. It's him walking around his like laboratory or whatever it is.
So he's explaining all like the different fish and like
That he admires.
aquatic life that he admires, because they're all apex predators, and
Yeah.
you know they have such like great attributes to them. Like he does like I can't even remember what the first one was called, like a czar something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But and then like there was like the
Shark,
shark,
the octopus,
octopus,
and then there's like this fish that is like stealthy or something.
I think you call it like a scorpion or something.
Yeah.
And then like it shows a puffer fish, and it shows all these like just marine animals, but it's all stock footage. It's none of it is original.
Oh no.
And then it shows him just awkwardly shuffling around his like
Looking
laboratory,
at all this fish.
looking at all his fish. He plays with an octopus for a minute, and then
Talking about how he basically just explains the plot.
so he kind of explains that he's going to fuse himself with a bunch of these different fish DNA
and become like the
and
new
become
master race.
A master race, and he's going to create a master race of fish that
Take over the
will
world.
take over not the world. He specifically says, "We will conquer the universe."
Yeah.
Somehow the universe.
Fish in space. Okay.
Can you imagine?
But Will.
Zaat in space.
Okay, but Will, I have a very important question for you. But why though?
Well, as we get to the film, we'll explain. There's no reason why.
But why though?
There's no reason. I don't know.
He wants to be a fish?
Look, because Don Barton is a goddamn genius, okay? He is like Francis Ford Coppola, like Martin Scorsese. You know, he thinks on a higher level than we do, okay?
Does he?
He knows. He understands film.
Is that why they filmed a bunch of miniatures of catfish and then decided not to put them in the fucking movie?
Don't ruin it. We'll get to
I'm
that
not
point.
ruining nothing.
We'll get to that
This thing
point.
is ruined from the start. It's no.
So it shows the doctor shuffling around. He's just going around his laboratory.
Emphasis on shuffling.
Yeah, no, like
He takes his fucking time.
Yeah, he just shuffles around. This is like literally the first 20 minutes of the movie. Like I'm not even exaggerating on this one.
And it's all narration of, like, it's narrating and it's just him, like, doing things in his lab.
And he's like toggling a bunch of switches and like, you know, doing all this stuff. And then he gets undressed and gets in this little metal basket over like a hot tub looking thing. Like
It's like one of those pools that you would put in your yard. That's what it looks like.
Almost.
Like kind of like one of those makeshift ones. That's what
Yeah.
it looks like.
Like it looks like a research like a lab, like an abandoned research lab that they would test like marine biology in. But it looks abandoned.
Yes, like everything else in this movie.
Yeah, well, the whole town looks abandoned.
Apparently, this is just...
I think they just filmed in a ghost town and then were like, you know...
Maybe that's just what it looks like.
Because everything looks disheveled. Everything looks like just decrepit and
maybe that's just
old.
Don Barton's house.
I don't know, maybe. Could be. But anyway, he gets in this basket and he like does this like weird liquid thing. And
he has like red liquid.
He puts it in the pool and he's like...
Gets in.
He like... puts this Geiger thing and like pulls himself into the pool and then goes down in
and immediately
and becomes
Zaat. Immediately,
like as soon as he hits the water.
And there's like a little compartment door in his pool thing,
swims around
so he can like open it up and he is immediately in the quote unquote lake. It's not a lake, but
so he gets out of that thing, and then it shows Zaat.
Yes,
and
swimming.
we get this knockoff, cheap version of Gilman from fucking
cheap. Yeah,
it's like such a like a ripoff of like Creature from the Black Lagoon. It's not, but not a good like ripoff. It's like this weird suit that looks all like patched together.
Is it better or worse than Octoman?
I think Octoman was better.
Was it?
Like there's I think. Okay, so
Octoman can't swim.
Well, Octoman can't swim. No, you're right. I mean, like the suit work for Octoman was worse, but I think the Octoman costume actually looked better than this one because it didn't look so patchy. It didn't look like they just threw it all together with a bunch of moss, like a bunch of fake moss and like just oh man, it looks so bad. So he gets out of the water and.
Well, the first, 20 minutes just, him swimming around and just kind of looking at things.
But what's weird is every time it shows him swimming in, fresh water, like a lake, it'll show, ocean.
The ocean. Yeah.
Ocean shot, stock footage of ocean life.
Ocean life, and, he's obviously not swimming in a lake. Because it's not even a lake, it's a swamp.
No, because he goes around and he checks on that woman that's, camping and she's, painting.
Yes.
And then just immediately swims away.
Swims away. And eventually we cut to a sheriff and a scientist.
Yeah.
They're our protagonists.
So the scientist is experimenting on water because it's been irradiated.
Yes.
And they have a bunch of... Apparently, they forgot to take all this stuff out of the film because, they're trying to do the plot where there's a bunch of... Giant walking catfish. But they keep mentioning... walking catfish.
The sheriff mentions
an epidemic of these walking.
The sheriff
catfish.
mentions he's getting phone calls of catfish walking to people's yards.
We forgot to mention that Zaat, the creature, is spritzing this weird radiated stuff to make it so fish can survive on land. Yes, apparently, it's radiation, and he's trying to pollute all of Florida's water with it.
Mm-hmm. You know what happens with that? Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Nothing.
It doesn't ever go back to that.
No, they mention it.
No, well they do, but like they keep mentioning how the water's radiated.
Yeah, they keep talking about walking catfish.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, where are these walking catfish?
Oh, we'll get to it.
Oh, they show you.
Oh, they show you.
They show you something.
So the researcher is experimenting, and he's an African American actor,
Yes.
so they have to keep calling him Boy, and
The sheriff calls him Boy. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's like experimenting on all this stuff, like figures out the water's been radiated and why there's like trying to figure out why there's all these walking catfish all over the place. And he's like sampling water, and like Zaat comes up.
Oh no, he's like he's on a boat, and he throws a net into the water for some reason.
Not yet.
Okay.
So remember, he's studying the water because he's pouring out samples, and then Zaat looks at him and then swims away.
Swims away in the lake that magically turns into the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it shows. Does it show Zaat going back to his little like drawing board and like showing that he's gonna kill the two?
Yes.
So there was a scientist.
Okay, Zaat has a massive like round circular drawing board.
It looks like I think it's supposed to be like a calendar thing because
it is a calendar.
Like, dates on it.
Yes.
But it's so incoherent.
But, well, first of all, it is a calendar. Yes, but they only show you like 1% of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a tiny like corner of it that has any details on it. And it has like these two portraits, these two pictures. And he goes up to one guy and does like this voiceover narration. He's like, "You didn't, like, you did this thing to me." And then the guy's like, and then it does voiceover from the guy who's in the portrait. And he's like, he basically tells him that like I don't like your experiments, and I'm not going to give you any more like funding.
Right.
And
like,
so
this is like baseless. Like like this is never gonna work.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. We're never gonna fuse fish with humans.
Yes. And so it's like the next day, apparently, and again he sees the same woman camping.
Yep.
And then except this time she has a dog with her.
And the dog,
which we never see ever again. No. Did you? Yeah.
Yeah. The dog starts barking, and then then Zaat swims away.
You know why you don't see the dog anymore? Is because they probably only had like enough money to pay that dog for like 5 minutes. Maybe the owner was
I don't even know. They probably just like found a stray dog and were like, hey,
put this in the movie.
Put this in the movie. Like
we don't need it for any more scenes.
The dog just happened to be by the lake, and they were just like, you know what? That's good.
That's just it's production value.
Exactly.
It's wonderful. So he does that. He looks at her again, swims away,
and then we get a scene of like a family on a boat. It's the guy, the scientist.
But Will, how do we know it's the guy?
You don't.
No, you do.
It keeps cutting the board
because when he looks at the guy, it cuts to the portrait on the board.
Yeah.
And then back to the guy, and then you get it.
And then like he's fishing with his
family.
So his son and presumably his son and his wife. It never explains anything.
Oh yeah, you don't need explanation.
And then Zaat swims up to the boat and knocks it over.
Okay, first of all, when you say knocks it over, you have to emphasize that by knocking it over, you mean that he like gently lifts the boat up, and they all just fall out of it.
Fall right into the lake.
Yep, and it is presumably he drowns him. Presumably.
So he cuts his throat and drowns him, but it doesn't show anything.
No, Will. He doesn't cut his throat. Excuse you. You say that because the next scene has a cut throat.
But it didn't even show the son, like, dying. Like,
no!
The son's just dead.
He's just gone.
He's just, like, apparently that, like, just shocked him into the water and, like, he's dead.
So, he, like, quote-unquote drowns the dad, which you barely see. The son is apparently just vanished. I guess the son, when he hit the water, he just, like, dissolved.
Right.
Fucking like
he's made out of him later.
He's made out of sugar.
So the wife like starts crawling up onto the beach and like screaming, and then and then Zaat just like lightly touches her stomach and like she's dead.
Yes.
Like seriously, it's like a
death
brush
by flicking.
Yeah. He like just kind of disheveled, like kind of like
she's
like
dead.
Wrinkles her shirt.
Yeah.
That's.
I mean. How dare you, right? How dare you wrinkle my fucking shirt? That's just instant death.
Like, it's someone if, like, they accidentally, like, brushed their hand across your stomach. That's what it looks like.
Instant death.
Yeah, just insta-kill. Insta-kill.
Do you think that scene could have been edited better? Like, do you think maybe we could have actually seen him drown the dad?
I think any scene in this movie could have been filmed better or, edited better. This whole movie is just incoherent. Like, I don't even know.
Because the next scene is, like, there's a scene next that they're showing the dad's body.
They're
It's
doing an autopsy.
Yeah, and he has a cut on his, neck.
But it never showed Zaat, like, cutting his neck.
Oh, no, Will. You can't show anything. You have to just, like, show him falling into the water and then, like, Zaat awkwardly wrestling with him above water. And then the next thing you know, he's just dead. He's just dead.
I need another beer for
It's
this.
trash. So... oh, my God.
Okay,
I need a refresher.
Next we get... So, the researcher... He's having trouble because he only has limited resources and he doesn't exactly know what to do. So he calls the... What do they call Intet?
Intep or something?
Intep? Like, it's like...
It's an abbreviation. It stands for... Okay. It's like... You know, in like horror movies when they call like... It's like Poltergeist, remember? When they call the... investigators, or Insidious.
Yeah.
When they call the investigators. It's that, but
see,
shit.
Those were actually clever. This one...
That's why I emphasized. It's like that, but shit.
So, it's like a special research team.
It's two people driving in a fucking, like, Winnebago.
An RV, yeah.
And they both wear...
Red jumpsuits.
Red jumpsuits. And their Winnebago just has a giant logo, Intep.
Just slapped on it.
Yeah. I don't remember what it stands for. It stands for, like...
It's like...
Inter something, like...
Research and development.
They research weird creatures, whatever.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
It's like they research, like, anomalies in, like... I don't even know. It doesn't matter, but, like, anyway, so we get introduced to these two characters, and they're supposed to be helping this researcher and the sheriff figure out why... Again, they keep mentioning the walking catfish.
Yes.
And now, I think it finally shows...
Because there's a scene where she is, like... They're investigating. They're setting up, like... I don't know, scientist shit everywhere. It doesn't show what the hell they're actually doing.
And this is also the scene where you were saying before, where he throws the net out.
Yeah.
And Zaat, like, tears the shit out of it.
Yeah, and then... But it doesn't show, but I guess he saw Zaat under the water, and that's when he, like, freaks out. That's when he calls them.
And that's how he gets them to come over, because he saw this giant...
Yeah.
Grayish creature.
He's like, there's a giant grayish creature in the water, and there's all these walking catfish. So, yeah.
He keeps mentioning the walking catfish.
So, there's a scene where they're all investigating with the Intep people, and you see a very quick shot. And I made you rewind this, because I was so confused.
So, it shows a bunch of catfish, like, just, like, falling over each other, and, like,
on the first thing it showed was the model. Okay?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Remember? So, it's like... It looks like a model, like, landscape, okay? And there's just this fish awkwardly flopping around on it. And I was just like, that's a model. But at first I was confused. I was like, wait a minute, rewind that.
Because, yeah, like, goes and, like, knocks over a fence and then keeps crawling.
So there's, like, this tiny fucking fence, like, on the model. And at first I'm like, why the hell is there a shot of a fucking model and a catfish?
So it was like... It looked like one of those scenes where they're trying to make the fish look really big.
It's like a...
Like, it's supposed to be a giant catfish, right? Because it's showing this little tiny fence, and it's a model of a fence.
It's like a kaiju movie.
Yeah.
But it's like 2 seconds.
Right. It's like, you know how Godzilla had the little tiny houses and the little models of the city and
except
everything.
way worse.
But it's just a model of a fence.
Yeah, and a fish flopping around.
So,
and then after that, it shows, like, all these, like, catfish, like, awkwardly, like...
fumbling over each other.
And then there's, like, these catfish just on a road.
On a road.
And they're not big. They're just normal-sized catfish. But this was so fucking weird to me. Like, why is there this model shot? Well, I found out why. The walking catfish are supposed to be big. And they filmed shots of normal catfish destroying, like, these models, okay? But they thought it was too hokey. Except for that one shot.
Did you hear that, audience? They thought walking catfish destroying things was too hokey for a movie where a guy literally fuses himself with different fish DNA.
Yes. It's also a movie that has a musical number, which we'll get to.
They thought that was too hokey for this already insanely hokey film.
Yes.
Like, final production, this is one of the hokiest films I've ever seen, and they thought that was too hokey.
I want that footage.
I do too. That would have been more entertaining, to be honest.
Get that footage and delete the musical segment.
Oh, yeah.
It takes up 5 minutes, put in the miniature bullshit, and at least it'd be a more entertaining movie. Okay, Don Barton, listen to me. You can fix the movie.
I almost wish they would have went with their original plot, because that would have been miles more entertaining than what we actually got.
Because they still mention walking catfish.
All the time.
And
every single chance they get.
Bullshit.
It's like they just scrapped the walking catfish idea, but didn't scrap any of the other scenes of them mentioning catfish. Like,
it'd be
like so the actors in the movie act like these walking catfish is a huge epidemic, right? Like, it's supposed to be like terrorizing the town. Like, people are scared, people are running away, and then we get like, that's the only scene we get of a catfish.
Can you imagine if, like, in Jurassic Park they never showed the raptors?
That's what this is like.
After talking about them for the whole movie, you never actually see the walking catfish. You just see some catfish, like, awkwardly wriggling around on a road. They're not walking,
and that's all we get. This is the only scene. This is the only scene of walking catfish we get,
and it's inserted for no reason.
Yeah,
no reason.
So they kept everything else except for the walking catfish part.
They kept the musical segment, but we get no fucking catfish.
Yeah.
Nope.
Sorry, I had to go on a little tangent there.
No, it's bullshit.
But so then it shows like the walking catfish and all that stuff, and then it shows them researching more.
And then
it goes back to the girl camping.
Yes.
For the third time.
And same campsite,
and
same everything, but now there's no dog. The dog
is gone now forever.
Yes, it went off into space.
You'll never see that dog again.
It got abducted. It's gone. Yep. But she's now in a bikini. She gets in the
water.
The magical lake, which turns into the ocean.
Yeah, because like it shows him swimming towards her, and he's clearly in the ocean.
Well, not just that. When she gets in, remember? So, it's like, it's a shoreline, right? It's a swamp. It's not deep, okay?
It's a lake. It's a murky lake.
She, like, gets in right off the shore, but when it cuts to the underwater shot, it is like a deep water.
It's so clear, too.
Yes.
So she's diving in this, like, murky lake, and it turns just instantly, like, clear as hell.
It's very clear and deep.
Yeah.
And he just, like, awkwardly swims up to her, grabs her, and takes her back...
to the lab.
Because he wants...
He wants a mate.
He wants a fish hybrid mate.
Yep. Because remember, he wants to create a race of these...
How can you create a race if you can't breed?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Science.
So he takes her back and, like... sets up the exact same experiment, like everything, and then, like, it's gonna put her in the water, and she starts screaming.
Yes.
And he, like, quickly puts her in the water, and then all these alarms start going off.
I have complaints about that scene. I'll get to it later. Because it makes no fucking sense in regards to the ending.
Well, yeah.
Because, again, he gives her the injection, she starts screaming, freaking the fuck out, and
he puts her in the water real quick.
Yes.
All these alarms start going off everywhere.
Yes.
Like he did something messed up.
Yes.
Even though he did it exactly the way he did before. Yeah. And like
she drowns.
She drowns, and he pulls her out, and she's like partially turning into
a fish. He also conveniently has like a vat of like acid.
Acid where he like can like it like peels the skin off of fish.
Yes.
Like it shows him dipping a fish into it, and like it's just bones when he takes it out.
So he puts her in there. She turns into a skeleton.
Which actually was okay. So this is the only defense I'll give this film. That shot was actually pretty cool because
it wasn't.
You
never even saw her dissolving. Well, it's just a skeleton.
But like the fog and everything else, kind of shows the skeleton. I'm trying to.
No. No.
Okay. This, like I said, this is the only credit.
No.
All right. I'll stop.
No. I don't even know if there's anything praiseworthy about this.
I just thought the shot was cool.
I will say one thing.
I'm not saying
the music is interesting.
Some of the music.
It's an extremely early, like, electronic.
It's like synthesized and stuff, and it actually kind of matches the tone of the film.
This is 1971, so it's extremely early.
It's very experimental.
Only one problem. It's in Zaat.
Yeah. If it was in any other movie, I'd be impressed.
Yeah. But no, it's in Zaat.
Okay,
So some poor sucker made all this music, and it ended up in Zaat.
So it shows, like, them researching the woman.
So it's, like, later that night. And they are, like, just kind of sitting back in their RV. And just kind of, like, just bantering, whatever. And the scientist says the best line. He says, "I sure hope that monster isn't a redneck."
Yeah, so...
Okay, yeah. I just hope this creature isn't a redneck. Which, you know what? Yeah.
Sure, okay.
Oh, I agree.
But
what, Will?
But why?
Why not?
But...
I don't know. Humor? I don't fucking know. Why anything?
So they keep experimenting, and then I think it shows, is this where the town is kind of going crazy, and the sheriff's like, okay, I want you all to go to this community center.
We forgot to mention. So after that redneck line, remember the alarms start, like, going off?
Oh, right, yeah.
So they put up, like, all these, like, things to kind of, like, I guess if anything comes in this, like, vicinity of this area.
Yeah, because they have a net set up.
Yeah.
That's right. So as they're experimenting, they've set up this giant net that will catch anything that comes through, because they're trying to catch this giant creature.
And he just, like... Oh, God.
So Zach gets caught... Well, not caught in the net, because he, like, rips out of the net.
And
they're trying to pull the net in.
And
then he just shows up out of nowhere.
Yeah. The male Urban, whatever the fuck he is, scientist man, he just starts, like, fighting him.
He stabs him.
And then Zat just awkwardly, through the power of bad editing, knocks him the fuck out.
Yeah. Just, like, kind of lightly swipes him, and then he's knocked out.
Yeah.
While the girl's, like, taking pictures.
Yes.
Like, not helping him, just, taking pictures.
She's taking magical photographs.
And then instead of Zat, like, killing the guy, he just walks away.
And then you get the sheriff on a, like, bullhorn talking to all these townsfolk.
About the walking catfish.
And how they need to go to this fort and, like, hide out.
They need to go to, like, a community center and hide out, because I'm sure in the original, this is, like, the point where all the walking catfish are destroying the town, right?
Rip off.
But, of course, the walking catfish aren't destroying the town.
No.
Because they didn't go with that. But they kept all these scenes in anyway.
No. So they have a scene of him on a bullhorn.
It's shitty filmmaking.
And he's just like, we're gonna go to the...
And it just shows, like, the reactions of, like, these old people. And, like, just, like... One lady gets on a bike.
Yeah, he's like,
for no reason. Like,
we're gonna go down to the fort, and those of you who can't make it to the fort, I want you to, like, lock yourselves in, and, you know, whatever.
So they all go, and, like, they disperse.
That scene ends.
And that scene ends, and then it goes back to the scientist, right?
I don't... It's either that or it's Zat. Yeah, it goes back to the scientist.
And he's, like, he's being doctored up by the girl.
Yes.
So it goes the impet or whatever.
Yes.
Being doctored up by the girl.
Yes.
And he starts, you know, they're talking, and the guy's like, I'm going to call it an early night and stuff, and then goes away. And then it shows Zap walking through this town in Florida.
You forgot the banter.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because they're like, I guess they're a couple, the two scientists. So the guy's like, you know, they're just kind of like, I was like, they're like, they just kind of start talking like, oh yeah, you're a really good doctor, aren't you? You know, I know one thing you can do for me. And it's this, like, long pause, and it's just like, I think you can get the files for me. Like,
right, yeah.
It's wicked.
Oh, so
wicked.
Awkward. Oh, I hate it. Yeah, it's a struggle to get through. There's like this whole movie.
And then it shows Zat
walking through this town in Florida, even though... Okay, so this is supposed to be on location in Jacksonville, Florida, right?
Mm-hmm.
It looks like a ghost town.
Yes.
It looks like they took a town that no one was in because it was cheap, and they just filmed in there.
Yes.
We also had some more trivia about this. Like, most of the lighting at night had to be done through
headlights,
car headlights, and you can actually see them in the
reflected in
some of the windows.
Yep. I mean, at least they filmed at night. I'll give them that.
But that's how low budget this film is.
Yes, $75,000.
So it shows Zaat walking through his town because he's like wounded, and he keeps saying, like, "Oh, it hurts.
Yeah.
Oh." And
We
then,
know
like,
it hurts because we have like 2 seconds of narration saying that it hurts.
Mhm.
Because we wouldn't have known otherwise.
No, not
No.
at all. So he gets to a drugstore and like breaks in
Mm-hmm.
and like starts looking around for like knocks the lock off of one of
Yeah.
the cabinets and like looks
Looking
in
for
there
something to help him.
like a pain reliever or
Yes.
something.
And he finally found something.
So he like breaks into the fridge and like just sucks down the like
through his
a mysterious
yeah,
substance
Which
through his like
apparently-
little suction thing.
which apparently makes him go fucking cuckoo.
Yeah, he just starts knocking shit all
Because
over
then he
the
just
place.
like looks at the at like all the like glass like lined up, and he just like knocks everything down, breaks all the
just
shelves,
destroys the place.
and just leaves.
Yeah, and then just leaves. And then we get the researcher and the sheriff. Does it show them experience like they're kind of like studying the it just
Shows the
immediately
footprint.
immediately cuts to them researching the footprint, and we're supposed to just they didn't say anything like this is
No.
supposed to just be the next day.
I thought it was the same night.
I
and
thought it was
confused.
too. They didn't explain anything.
Yeah, but no, it's when they get outside, you find out it's the next day. But yeah, they're doing research, and they see the footprint, and then one of the scientists has like a Geiger counter, and he just kind of starts using it to track the Zaat.
And then before we get all the riveting scenes of them just walking around and using the Geiger counter, it goes to
Fuck me up.
yeah,
Just fuck me up.
it goes to Zaat drawing
my
a
God.
picture of the woman.
Forgot remember the kissing couple?
Oh yeah,
That was the same night.
Miss Pringle.
Yeah. It's like these 2 teenagers kissing on like this porch.
And like a woman off camera is
Just like yells like, "Hey, you two," and the guy like
be
stands
careful tonight, like
Yeah.
all this
up.
stuff.
He's like, "Oh, don't worry, ma'am. I'll take care of your daughter."
I'll take care of your daughter, Miss Pringle.
She's like, "Hey, I'm sure you will." And then they like sit back down.
start kissing again.
I don't remember what the fuck she says. She's like, "What about all those like walking catfish?"
Yeah,
He's like-
aren't you scared?
He's like, "Oh, it's no big deal. Forget it." And they just immediately like plants his face on hers.
Yeah, and they started eating each other's
Yeah.
face.
And then
And then Zaat shows up, and she's like, ah!
yeah,
And then the
the riveting fight scene.
the guy like guards himself all awkwardly, and then
As
like
Zaat awkwardly wails his arms around.
okay, so I'll mention this. In this scene where you know usually in monster scenes when they swipe, it makes this like kind of sound like it's like shredding flesh kind of stuff.
Sound.
There's no sound. Like he just swipes and it's just blood and no sound.
Yes, we can also see that when he like
So he swipes three
he apparently
times,
swipes him like it's supposed to be him swiping him on the neck.
but he just throws a blood.
But it's
pack.
obvious that it's Zaat throwing the blood on the wall.
Yeah.
Because it just I swear it is like an inch away from his head. It's just like he just threw it.
Yeah.
It doesn't even hit his neck. Whatever. Fuck it.
Right.
One take.
Then the kid's dead, and then
He gets down and starts
like
apparently,
sucking his blood.
which they literally never tell you.
This was the only time he did it, and they hadn't mentioned it any time before.
and they never will
And
again.
I think there was a plot line where he was supposed to be doing that the whole time, but this is the only time they ever mention it.
You don't even mention. They mention nothing.
No,
Nothing.
that's the main problem I had with this film. They don't explain goddamn anything.
Who needs explanations when you got half an hour, the last half hour of the movie, of these 3 morons
Going
driving
around Geigering.
in their fucking truck as one idiot gets out and just like with his Geiger counter, and then he's like, "They went that way," and then gets back in the truck. They drive some more. He gets out. Does the same
So
thing.
while that's going on, it shows that drawing a picture of the one researcher lady and was like, "I'll
Yes.
find a mate. I'll
It just happens to
carefully
look
pick her."
exactly like the researcher lady.
Yep. And then he goes and spies on her,
We
and
saw earlier that I don't even remember when exactly this happened, but there's that scene when like the doctor is still in his bed, like trying to heal up, and she comes in and they're like pay him a visit, and she's like, they start flirting, and she's about to leave, and he like grabs her by the hand, and they start like making out, and Zaat like is looking through the window, And I guess it just angers him so much. He just is so pissed off. How dare you?
So, and we also forgot to mention your favorite scene. So after like all the townsfolk leave and everything, the sheriff gets a call of like people screaming and like hollering at like a certain house. I can't remember when this happened either.
No, it happened after the attack on the Pringles.
Oh, that's
Remember?
right. Yeah.
He hears the woman screaming, and he's like, "Oh, I heard screaming. I'm gonna go check it out." And he ends up in this like
Warehouse.
Community building.
Yeah.
Oh God, he goes in, and there is like a fucking hippie circle.
And then we get literally, and I do not exaggerate here, it's like a fucking music video.
It is a music video.
It's like, so the guy starts playing a song and singing. I'm like, okay, it's gonna end soon. No, there's like 4 minutes.
They do the whole thing.
The whole goddamn song.
Yep.
And like he starts singing, they're all like, you know, fake reacting to him because it's obviously just a recording that they played over the final cut.
Yes.
And they all look bored as hell.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden they just start walking down the street while he's still like strumming along.
And even the sheriff
singing.
just like sits down and starts like listening to this music and just like humming along and awkwardly tapping his knee.
And then it gets them like the ragtag group like walking down. He's still singing a song, like the same
as the
song.
Sheriff's like escorting them
as they
somewhere.
like escort him, they go to the police station and they all get in this jail cell.
All in one jail cell.
While the song's still playing.
Yes.
And then,
as they're still singing.
And then like they stop singing for a second and the sheriff's like, "Hey deputy, make sure these kids are safe for the night."
Yeah, he's like, "You'll be safe in here."
And then it goes back to him playing the song and then he finally finishes. It's literally like 4 minutes of just nothing.
No, well, we got a very lovely song about Jesus and heaven.
And his disciples and all that stuff.
It has just such relevance.
Message.
It's bullshit.
So then we get the whole ragtag group doing the Geiger counter, the fucking Zaat drawing the picture of the lady. And then, so Zaat finally decides he's gonna go kidnap the girl.
He's gonna take her.
While these 3 bozos are just like
wandering around
geigering
random
nothing.
Backyards in Florida.
It literally goes nowhere. They geiger nothing and then they find nothing. So
no, he finds something. Well, eventually, just takes like fucking 20 goddamn minutes.
Yeah. So Zaat like goes into the where the researchers are. Well, the researcher, the girl.
The girl, yeah.
And she's like typing up a report and he walks in. She gets all scared. And like runs to the door, and mind you, she's inside the house.
She can't open.
And she can't open the door.
She can't open the door from the inside. Well,
yeah, she can't unlock the door and open it. So she runs around Zaat and throws like bottles at him.
And he just grabs her.
Yeah, and then he just grabs her. Apparently that knocks her out, though.
Yes.
He just grabs her and like starts taking her.
The sheer act of grabbing her knocks her the fuck out.
He just grabs her and starts hauling her back to his research laboratory.
Yes.
And then we get some of the most riveting stuff I've ever seen.
Eventually, they get back to the Geiger counter leads them back to the house with the researchers, and they find out that she's been taken.
Right. So he has the.
So then they split up.
He has the sheriff and the researcher go to the
lab,
the supposedly abandoned lab where the doctor is.
Yes, because they find out.
They find out it's Dr. Leopold and like
there's this weirdo doctor in the town who I forgot to mention the second scientist that he kills. Remember? Oh
yeah.
So whatever. Like earlier in the movie, he kills this other guy who like basically told him you can't experiment on human beings.
Yeah.
Human guinea pigs. And
basically he just chokes him out in his own house.
Yeah, he chokes him out, and it's bullshit. That's why we didn't mention it because it's boring.
Because it fucking just has no point.
So. Eventually, the sheriff is like, "Yeah, there's that guy, Dr. Leopold. He's really strange. He wanted to experiment on human beings, and he talked about turning like people into fish."
And then the sheriff was just like, "Yeah, but he disappeared, and I left him. Yeah. I left the research lab alone."
And one of the guys is like, he like yells at him, but it's such bad acting. Remember?
He's like, "Shit! Why didn't you tell us before?
You didn't think about telling us before?" Like,
oh man, it's so bad.
It's
I think the way we just did it is actually way better than how it is in the film.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could act that bad. it takes some
Yeah.
skill to be that bad of an actor.
But
So
yeah, they split up eventually, and the scientist and the sheriff are in a truck going to the lab, and the in-pet guy, whatever, he gets in this like fucking like
weird like motorized thing that has like a land and boat
yes
thing,
that he uses for like 5 seconds until it stops.
and it stalls, and he just gets out,
Gets out.
and he has a gun all of a sudden.
Oh yeah.
For no reason,
Mhm.
like they didn't show him grabbing a gun, nothing.
Oh,
And
there's
then,
a good reason.
And then he starts walking around. He starts like trying to follow Zaat, and it shows.
Eventually, he catches up, and you
So
see.
it shows, and then it just shows a bunch of scenes of Zaat taking the girl to his facility, and the guy following behind him.
Yes.
That's all it shows, and the researchers kind of looking around
Yes.
the.
Because they eventually get to the lab and they start
Yeah.
looking around. This goes on forever, but eventually, the guy, the in-pet guy, gets bitten by a snake.
So he's in the swamp, and he's like, because he's following Zaat,
Mhm.
and he's, a snake like goes into the river and like bites him.
Yes.
Now we didn't know this before, but
Mhm.
that was him actually getting
He actually
bit
got bitten by
a snake. Like
Mm-hmm. And they just decided to have that be part of the ending.
they liked it so much they're like, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's keep that in the film.
I mean, I guess because they don't even have to do anything for that.
Yep. So he gets out of the swamp, ties up his leg,
Yeah.
like
But he's like limping now.
limping, and he sees that, and he's still taking the girl, and he doesn't try and shoot him or anything at this point. He just
No.
follows behind
Well,
him.
eventually he just kind of like he falls behind, and Zaat gets to the lab.
Right, because he gets exhausted,
Yes.
I guess. And so Zaat gets to the lab.
He sees the sheriff. Remember?
And slowly awkwardly sets down the woman,
Yes.
and then like starts choking out the sheriff.
No,
Oh no! Wait! No! Wait!
no.
Sorry, I forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot. Sorry. So it shows the sheriff, and it shows an angle of like behind the sheriff, and the sheriff.
He has a gun in his holster.
The sheriff sees that, and like I have never seen anyone take a gun so awkwardly out of a holster before. Like he like fumbles with it, and like like tries to like awkwardly like fumble it out.
Takes him too long.
And then he doesn't like point and shoot at Zaat because that is far enough he could still shoot him. No, he takes the gun and like holds it by the barrel and tries to hit Zaat.
Tries to hit Zaat.
And Zaat's like,
does that end well for him? Will?
No, Zaat's like, fuck that shit,
Yeah.
and then he starts choking him.
Chokes him to death.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep, that's it. Sheriff's dead.
That's how they did it.
Yep. The sheriff
That's how they did it, Will.
The sheriff fumbles with his gun and then dies because he couldn't shoot Zaat.
Yes, that's the riveting finale of that character.
That's how they did it.
That's how you do it. So, Zaat is he takes the woman back into the lab and starts hooking her up to the pool.
At this point, the other researcher that's in the lab still hears like something going on, and he doesn't even react to it. He just kind of like awkwardly looks around and then finds a metal pipe.
Yeah.
And then so he like sneaks into the other room and sees the woman laying on, like Zaat has just injected her with this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This green stuff that he injected the other woman with too.
The magic shit.
It never explains what it is. It never explains it.
It's the formula,
and it
Will.
leads to like one of the most awkward endings in any movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's something.
Okay, so we're almost to the end of the movie, by the way. So he goes into the room and he sees the woman, and I noticed this scene because it's like a first-person view of him like looking at Zaat and then looking at the woman, and like beyond this pool, you can see one of the crew.
One of the crew members.
He like sticks his head up and
yes,
like
they stick their head out.
They stick their head out and it's like, oh fuck,
for no reason.
Ducks back down.
They left it in.
Yeah, they didn't cut that out. They couldn't even crop the film.
No.
To not show him.
You could have cut that like a second earlier, and it wouldn't have been there.
It would have been fine, but no, they kept it in the final cut.
Gotta leave it in.
So he goes up to Zaat. Oh no, sorry, no. Zaat goes back to the woman and like the guy.
He starts like trying to untie her.
Yeah.
And Zaat goes back and they have a little like.
No, not yet. Because remember what happens is, he sneaks around Zaat and Zaat goes back to check the woman, and the guy starts like playing around with
the ropes,
toggles and
yes.
stuff. And then like he like awkwardly like tries to like smash the computer.
Oh yeah.
But like it's like the weakest like hit I've ever seen on my computer. Like he just like, and then Zaat notices, and then like they get into a tussle. He hits Zaat, which apparently Zaat is like really weak to metal pipes because it really hurts him.
Now he's hurt.
Yeah, now he's like super hurt.
Oh yeah.
And so it shows their tussle. He gets the guy on the ground and like rips him to shreds. And then the guy,
if you can call it that, but okay.
The guy and then Zaat leaves for no reason.
He grabs these canisters which have the magical like formula
to radiate the water, and he starts.
He just leaves.
He just leaves.
She's there.
We don't know what's going on at this point. He just leaves with the canisters. Yeah. So the guy.
And she's like the Erpin or whatever woman is like suspended above the pool, and so the scientist like wakes up.
He like gets up even though he's like super like.
And
hurt.
he has enough strength to pull her away.
Pulls her to the edge of the water,
and then he dies.
And then she gets up, and she's like
acting very strange.
I will admit, like, for how terrible all this acting is, this was the only weird convincing stuff. Even though I had no idea what was going on,
I still don't know what was going on.
She looked like really like she was supposed to, but I think she was just as confused as we were. So that's probably why it was such good acting. Because she probably at this point had no fucking idea what was going on either.
Neither do we.
Yeah, no, I still don't know what happened.
But she gets up and she's acting very strange. And then it shows Zaat.
She just looks at the researcher and then just walks out.
Yeah. And then it shows Zaat, who is suddenly at the ocean.
And he's like walking with these canisters into the ocean.
The Erpin guy is just right there.
Yeah, and he just followed him the whole way
and he starts
shooting at Zaat and like
hits him a couple times.
Hits him, Zaat gets down, like drops one of the
canisters and just keeps walking.
Just like grabs the other canister and keeps walking into the ocean and then dives in. And that literally
now
I'm not spoiling anything here. That is literally the last time you see Zaat. He doesn't die. He just takes a canister into the ocean and that's it.
Sequel.
And, well, I hope not.
No, there isn't.
No, Don Barton, I don't think he...
No. He should stick to doing things that he's good at, like
nothing?
Know.
Like maybe working like
being a garbage man.
Like working another full-time job that's not filmmaking because he should never make a film ever again. Yeah. And he hasn't.
Like being a garbage man or something?
Yeah. So it shows...
He'd finally find a place for his movie.
So, like, it shows the guy...
He's, like, dying because of a snake bite.
Yeah, so the girl's like walking into the ocean, and he's like Martha,
help me,
Martha, help me, and he like just dies on the beach.
And she just walks past him.
She just walks into the ocean and dives down.
Let me ask a perfectly normal question. Why though?
I don't know.
Because here's why I'm extra confused. Earlier, when he did with the first woman, he injected her, and it didn't turn her into, like, a zombie.
No, she was fine. She still screamed when he put her into the water.
When he injected this one, she, like, turns into, like... I guess she thinks she's a fish now.
Because she just goes into the ocean, dives in.
Yeah.
That's how it ends.
Which, I mean, she's going to drown because she's not a fish.
Right.
So that's riveting.
But it's never established that this serum he injects them... It only established that it might have, like, knocked them out for a minute. It never establishes that it makes them a fish.
Does this movie establish anything?
No. It doesn't establish jack shit.
Who needs establishments?
Like, it doesn't explain anything. And that's my takeaway from this movie. It literally, it's so incoherent. Like, none of it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
There's the giant walking catfish that they never show, except for one scene, and they keep mentioning them. It doesn't explain how Zaat turned into Zaat, like what he used to actually like
a magical formula.
That. But it's just a red liquid.
So the Erpin people talk to like this like random guy on the radio sometimes, and he tells them that the Leopold discovered 2 new elements, and I guess the assumption is that there's this like backstory that doesn't go anywhere, but basically there's like these experiments going on in this lab during World War II. Now, I don't know how Leopold being a Nazi fits into any of this, but
I don't
whatever.
Either. Like I said, like my final takeaway is I am so confused at like everything in this movie. It doesn't explain anything.
Yeah.
Like I think it tries to explain it, but it's such an incoherent.
Excuse me. Tries.
It's such an
Oh,
incoherent way of trying to like explain everything. Like it's such bad filmmaking that like it makes me long for like some like Christopher Nolan films where they hold your hand through the whole thing and have to explain the plot over and over again. Like I actually prefer that. Like I actually would prefer that over what we got, because I don't mind trying to figure out what a movie's trying to say, but man,
What's the message of this movie, Will?
I don't know. They get like oddly political at times. They like talk about environment stuff. So I don't know what they were trying to go for. I think they didn't even know what they were trying to go for. So they just kept like, oh, walking catfish, all this stuff, pollution, like, you know, racism, all this stuff, like all this.
The
like,
message is that if the message is that radiation is bad because it makes Nazis want to turn themselves into fish.
And then like,
And then apparently this also makes catfish walk around.
even though it never fucking shows them walking around.
Imagination. You have to use your imagination, even though they show
It doesn't
you.
show like any destroyed cities. It
I
doesn't
wish.
destroy like people getting like crumpled under a giant catfish.
I wish.
It doesn't show anything, and then we're supposed to believe all these town people are scared of these giant catfish that are just walking
If
around.
they had a scene of like a catfish awkwardly like smacking like a puppet, that would be great.
That would have been more entertaining
Oh, yeah.
than what we got.
But we got nothing.
So what are your final thoughts on the film?
No.
Yeah, just do yourself a favor and just don't watch this one. You don't need to. It's so bad. It's so incoherent. It's just shitty filmmaking,
It's up there
shitty
with
acting.
Manos.
I think so. Like
It's
with
up there
like,
with Manos.
one of the worst films I've ever seen. Now, when I was getting super into monster movies when I was a kid, because I loved like Creature from the Black Lagoon, I loved Godzilla. I even liked Gamera.
This movie's like, because you see, it's got the radiation, which is like Godzilla, and then it's got the creature, which is from Creature from the Black Lagoon. Now, and of course, obviously, it goes without saying, this is a million times better than both of them.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
so good.
Dude, so good. So when I was a kid, I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch this because it sounds really like it sounds like right up my alley. Because I'm
sorry.
getting into monster movies. I love monster movies. So I started watching this, and 20 minutes in, I shut it off, and I have not gone back since.
Oh, you have now.
And I never wanted to come back.
Oh, you did.
And we did.
You did.
And oh my god, like
You did.
I wish we would have turned it off in the first 20 minutes
No.
again, because the rest of the film is so bad. It's not on any streaming services for probably a good reason.
Yeah, this one was a hard one to get.
Like you had to download it somewhere, didn't you?
Yes, this was a hard movie to track down.
Yeah, so they do have a Blu-ray.
There's a Blu-ray, but it's out of print.
Yeah, so
It costs like, I'm not joking, if you look up the Blu-ray of this, it costs like $80.
So if you really want to, I don't know.
It is on YouTube, but the audio is pretty bad.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
Yeah, so I think TCM has done some things on it, so you might be able to catch it on there maybe when they're doing like a bad movie feature or something.
Bad monster movies or something.
So it because the rip you got was from TCM.
Yes.
So they have done it before, but it's gonna be too hard to find, and I wouldn't even do it. It's not worth your time.
Just look up like a greatest hits.
Just
or
look
some
up
shit.
like some like YouTube video where some guy reviews it, and he'll give you the best clips of it. Because like I think you need to watch the clips to see how bad it is, but don't watch the whole film. There's no need to.
Just watch the scene where he beats the shit out of the pharmacy.
Yeah.
The single greatest pharmacy destruction scene in any movie.
I think this is one of my least favorite we've watched,
Oh,
and,
no, this
and
is
we've
bad.
watched some terrible ones.
It's bad.
But this is like pinnacle bad.
It's not as
like-
bad as the last one.
Well, Legacy of Blood was bad.
shit.
That was holy shit. And I think this one slapped us in the face harder though, because it doesn't explain anything. It's just like,
Yeah, but
there you go.
at least this one didn't break the fourth wall.
Oh my, yeah,
Try to be
well,
clever.
that's true. Didn't put balls in our face.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Our faces were intact.
So that was Zaat, 1971. I think we have 2 more films in 1971.
3 more, I think.
3 more. Oh, great. And they're supposed to be worse than this
yes,
one.
they have lower ratings than this.
So that's gonna be fun.
So I don't know. We'll see.
Well, look out for Sunday's episode. I think we're doing what, Honey Britches?
Yes.
Honey Britches, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not happy, but whatever.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
I might have an executive decision
and shut it off. What
yes.
is it gonna be our first like ever movie that we've actually shut off? Because we've wanted to before, but we never have.
I just have a bad feeling. Again, we are going into all these blind, so my only notion is like the poster and like the 2-3 words I've read on the fucking plot synopsis, and I'm not happy. But we will see.
We're dedicated, okay?
Yeah.
We're providing a service here, so we need to continue.
It's apparently a Hicksploitation movie.
Great.
And I just want to say that we will see. My tolerance, though, is low.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But anyway, thanks so much for listening. This has been Will.
And this has been Alex.
And we'll talk to you all later.
Bye.